protesters and killed 11 persons and injured 4 persons at the Lekki toll gate.
The death of Itunu Babalola in Ivory Coast prison is raising concerns as Nigerians demand to know the real cause of her death.
And we'll always be reviewing the newspapers on Off the Press this morning, where our guest, of course, will join us to have a quick review of the major stories making headlines across Nigeria today. Well, good morning and welcome to The Breakfast on PlusTvAfrica. In the end whole of Nigeria, I saw the video a few days ago, approached her for help, and they got into some verbal altercations, I believe, and next thing you know, he starts physically assaulting her. She eventually collapsed before he was apprehended and, has now been expelled. And I'm not even sure what to say to him if I was his parent or if I was, somebody close to him, because you've done 4 years in university and this is how you end up, but this is what you do to yourself.
All of the time, all of the resources, everything gone. Yeah,
I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense. I understand there's the angle, and I saw a few people mentioning yesterday that yes, when we talk about mental health challenges, it's not necessarily for people who are already naked and walking across the streets. There are people who, even in their homes, people who you see at school every day, on campus, at work, who have mental health challenges, and it takes one thing to trigger it, but it's still not enough, reason, or still not enough defense, for assaulting a female lecturer, assaulting anybody at all. And it also, points once again to the conversation on the safety of women in Nigerian society.
Really, I'm thinking that, his expulsion will serve as a deterrent to other students who would think that they can actually practice this, go ahead and assault lecturers. The thing is, you also have lecturers being assaulted, and you also have a situation where students have been assaulted as well. So it's a two-way thing. But I'm thinking that in an institution, because this person's a human being, if you actually missed a particular course or an experiment or what have you, you could probably still negotiate when can you have it taken. But you find out that there are a lot of lazy students, these days around. Not to say that you don't have the ones that are, very serious and committed and dedicated to their work, but you see everybody just wants to get it across, with force and all of that. It is quite shameful, like you had mentioned. And there's a system in every institution. That's why there's government in every institution. There's government everywhere. The essence you have government is so that we don't have chaos and anarchy. And so things should be done in an orderly manner. So, for instance, if he's going to say the lecturer triggered, there was a trigger from the part of the lecturer, and that's why he reacted. The system already creates, means where you can actually address this rather than taking the laws into your hands. So whatever the case may be, it's not in anybody's hands to take the laws into their hands, whether you're a student or you're a lecturer. The system on its own has created all of those mechanisms where all of these issues can be addressed and all of that. So, but it's really disappointing to see that happen. Very, very sad. And sometimes I ask myself, I'll still say that again, we have lost humanity. How would you hit someone like that? She could be your mom. She could be anybody.
I can imagine, a man at home hearing that a student assaulted his wife.
And then so we're going to be having the whole back and forth, and then he comes and assault the student, and
Yeah, I mean, of course, those things are expected, but of course, they very likely wouldn't play out in this case. I just feel bad for the lecturer, and then also for the parents of the young man, who now have to figure out what he's going to do with his life, and how he's going to start all over from university again. Because this is what it means. Once you've been expelled, you're going to have to start from scratch again in a totally different university, maybe a private university at this point. And if you're in the University of Ilorin, it means that the option of a private university maybe wasn't there in the first place. So
it's going to start all over again.
Yes, it's going to start all over again. And in situations like this, you could also be charged for, with assault, and that is, of course, a criminal. That's a criminal case, entirely. So there's so much to trigger you to physically assault a lecturer.
Yesterday,
either male or female, doesn't matter.
Yesterday I saw some comments, because that generated conversation across different species. So I saw several comments, people saying, oh, you have done what a lot of us were willing to do, and some persons went to disagree that we never ever thought, no matter how difficult our lecturers were, I never thought about, having to assault. Up until this moment, I still have good rapport with all of my lecturers, the head of department. Yes, I'm not joking, I can still call them up at any time.
I was getting my mind.
But the truth is, another point also is the fact that students also need to learn. So at Paraventure, yes, I know you're in your final year, and that can be very, very stressful. To think that you probably have to repeat that entire process, that would be the reason why you have to repeat. Why did you not meet up, summer to come through for, you have an extra course, to rewrite, and nobody's going to die actually. So you take your time and do the right thing.
That is something that I've also seen a few people mention, that when people have carryovers and when people have, situations like this where they missed out on a certain, part of the, the university
assessment
system. Exactly. They don't necessarily, so it may not be the same thing with this CWES, scheme. But when people have carryovers that may, make them have an extra year in school, you don't necessarily need to do that. You can really just have summer programs where people come back, pay, a certain amount to university and rewrite those exams and then still graduate along with their peers instead of having them have to come back and do another whole year and have extra years in university.
No, but in some universities, the provision for all of that. But my point is usually in the part of the students where they feel like they can't even come back. I'm done. Why am I coming back for summer? That's a lot of time. But the point is there's really nothing.
If you don't come back, you spend an extra year now. Is that hard? Some other thing that I was going to mention, I totally forgot. The university environment, the whole process of going through a university should teach you not necessarily just education and the course of study, because he will study microbiology, but it should also teach you about life. It should teach you about self-control.
But that's the point we're missing.
Yeah,
right? We're really missing that
so
on our education.
I'm referring to those people who said he's done something that a lot of us have wanted to do. Why didn't you do it? It's because you had sense. You knew what will happen if you ever tried, that kind of thing. If you ever assaulted a lecturer in university, especially to this, extent, all of them knew. So it's that level of self-control that they had, no matter how frustrated they were in university. I understand that there's some certain lecturers that are completely evil. I understand people who have had to spend extra years because, somebody was trying to sleep with them and they refused to. Those things are completely evil, and the university system still needs to do a lot more to protect students like that and ensure that those very, very rotten eggs are kicked out of the system. But still, that environment, growing, and going through those 4 or 5 years with different random faces that you've never seen before, should teach you a little bit about life. It's a part of your training.
That's a very valid point you have actually raised there. And it reminds me of the slogan of my university, in learning and in character. We need to, but you see, the truth is, I think we're more about the having the certificate, and that's it. So basically, everyone, however means you want to get it, just get it, and that's it. So we forget about, because that's where you begin to even learn how to show up on time. Not show up late for meetings and all of that because you have lectures at a particular time. Compose yourself. Now, for me, other things again that I probably would have learned from my university is we're not allowed to wear sleeveless outfit. So it became part of me after a while. I feel very uncomfortable wearing a sleeveless, outfit, especially when I'm in public and all of that. So you see some of this. You're very right. But I'm hoping that, we get to that point where, our universities will not just be teaching us the theories, because mostly you find...
Zakaria. Yes, and she's, of course, a lot better now. She's stable and she's back to work, I believe. We'll move away from there, from Ilori, and move to Osun and Ekiti states, where the APC has, declared with regards to Ekiti and Osun governorship elections that it would cost 22.5 million naira for a candidate to run for those seats. It says that of course, this is from the National Secretary for the APC Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee. It says 20 million naira for nomination for that later. Why I don't think that provided any sort of comfort, because, if we're all running for the same seat, everybody should pay the same thing. I understand physically challenged, but there shouldn't be any. They'll pay 22.5 million.
I know.
Pay 10 million.
I feel like we're just going to have an hour. We probably have an hour. We're going to talk about this forever.
We should talk about it.
No, seriously, it's coming from the premise that usually, if you look at it, this is also to encourage, females to participate. If you look at the participation of women in politics over the years, from 1999, it hasn't been quite encouraging up until this moment. And so usually political parties across the board have decided to adopt that as a means of saying, okay, let's subsidize this for the female candidates, and maybe that would also encourage them. In most cases, you want to say, I know you're going to argue that with me, that financially, you want to say that they don't have that muscle as their male counterparts. A lot of things will be working against them.
That's what you're going to say. I'm not going to say that. because females are talking about equality and some of all of that. So
No,
we all have the same 24 hours.
No, so I'm saying that from that premise. I know you're going to bring up the argument of equality and all of that.
I'm just playing. I totally understand, the need to encourage more females into politics and participation. But I think it's not just with reducing the amount of for nomination forms. There has to be an environment that makes women understand that they're comfortable enough, or it welcomes females. Look at the percentage of women who are in the National Assembly. Look at the percentage of women. Are there any female governors? I mean, just so if you look at it already, you can see the Nigerian political space and our leadership recruitment process, already somehow, some ways, it makes it difficult for women to get into those positions. So it's not just making it cheaper; it is making the environment, making the little details here.
We still have the cultural bias and religious concerns.
And those are some of the things that need to go.
And it would take us a long time. I mean, looking at where we're from, you have some culture where women are not allowed, to be at the forefront and express themselves.
But I think if we're being serious, because I've said this so many times that I personally will always campaign for more women in leadership, because men have failed, and we have to be honest with ourselves. A lot of men have failed and failed woefully, and I feel like we need to give it a shot. We need to have more females in leadership positions, more females in the National Assembly, more females as ministers, more females as governors in some of all these positions, and let's see what the difference would be like. All that narrative of religious and cultural biases.
But of course, you know that's a big issue. That's a big issue. How many persons are comfortable seeing their wives out there,
that annoys me so much.
Being actively involved in politics. I'm talking about active politics now. I'm not talking about, the elective kind of politics where they have to go out for campaigns. They have to, and you know how it can be very tedious and all of that. I've seen situations where you have commissioners who are cabinet members of different, governments in different states, and then you begin to hear the stereotype, oh, she is into prostitution, what have you. But you can't take the fact that that's part of the job, that you have to meet people, and you're not just going to be meeting females. So it's not an assembly of female. You're going to be begin to change that mentality and the mindset. Until that mindset is changed, until people are able to embrace. I mean, up until this moment, you hear people say, what's that? You end up in the kitchen.
Yeah, but another thing, I would mention, because the main, the meat of the story of this conversation is really how expensive it is to run for a governorship position in Nigeria. In Ekiti and Osun State, 22.5 million naira. There is barely any young Nigerian, there's barely any civil servant who wants to run for those positions that can afford that. And that's actually the main part of the conversation here. Why is it so expensive? And why do you need to set that initial hurdle before a person can even vie for those positions? And it makes people already start to look for where they can raise into those positions. 22.5 million naira seems like it's a lot. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going into Off the Press. What major stories made headlines this morning, we'll share with you.
Hello and welcome. It's Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Nimasa This Week is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Statutorily mandated to ensure that there is regulation and promotion of matters affecting our waters. NIMASA bears responsibility for search and rescue, shipping development, and ship registration.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call
What's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshuke. Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Event is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, right? No question. He's a living legend.
God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued.
Tells Lagos, Nigeria.
Featuring Africa Music Business Summit, a platform for business networking and interaction among music professionals.
Join Afrima Music Fest, an evening of non-stop music concert with live broadcasts and performances from African music superstars. Date is Friday, November 19th from 6 p.m.
Sunday, November 21st comes with all the glitz and glam from Africa's music superstars, celebrities and international personalities at Afrima Awards Ceremony. Red carpets 4:30 p.m., awards 7:30 p.m.
All at the Hotels and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. For tickets and seat reservation, visit www.afrima.org. Brought to you by GoBet247.com.
Navadina Hair.
Address home, Afrima. Still we sing. For hope, for celebration.
The region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, you know, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, you know, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
Comes to show, I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Welcome back to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Time for us to check out the front pages of our national dailies. We do have Mike. That's what you find. Another caption says, "Why ASU can't go on strike?" by Chris Ngige. And NASU rejects sharing formula. Another header says, IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund, e-Naira will cut cost of diaspora remittances. And you also find another caption here. Ekiti APC governorship aspirant to pay 22.5 million naira for farms. I mean, part of the conversation we had this morning on our top trending. Governors insist on litigation to end Paris Club refund now. And 5 died, 12 injured in Lagos gas explosion. Not a sad incident that happened. That's the much we can take.
Well, the U.S. says it awaits Lagos' response to end SARS report. We can also find here Buhari talks tough after bandits kill 15 people in Sokoto. Ex-PDP chair Mwazu fled Nigeria a day before 2015 presidential election, says George. National Assembly intervenes in Nigeria UAE diplomatic role. We can also find here headsmen lure butchers with cattle.
That's the bold caption for the leadership this morning. And you find vaccination is compulsory. Workers insist. I take that again. Vaccination is voluntary. Workers insist. Awaits men save Nigeria. Fayam is quoted to say all of that. And he says, there's a writer saying, were poised to end killings, says Southeast governors. Federal government unveils sector to achieve new...
Lists loopholes. UN and US others demand sanctions. Songolo advocates speed on white paper. And Amnesty calls for prosecution of attackers. There are inaccuracies in the report. We await white paper, says federal government official. All right. Also on the Punch this morning, federal government plans $100 billion Nigeria-Brazil initiative backing Tinubu for 2023 presidency, says campaign coordinator. We can also find on the Punch this morning, E-Naira may reduce deposits in commercial banks, IMF warns CBN. And Bajabia Mila summons ministers, ASU as lecturers threaten fresh strike. Federal government blames theft and insecurity and others as oil production plunges. Those are the stories that we have time for on the Punch this morning. Mr. Mark Adebayo, good morning. Thanks for joining us once again. Mr. Adebayo, can you hear us clearly? Well, we of course wait to connect properly with Mark Adebayo, who's going to be our analyst off the press this morning. We'll probably just talk through some of the stories. Of course, the federal government's reaction to the NSAS report, and it's saying that the federal government lists loopholes. UN, US, and others demand sanctions. Songolo advocates speed on white paper. Amnesty calls for prosecution of attackers. And of course, federal government officials saying there's inaccuracies in the report. We're going to be speaking this morning with Renu, who of course will be joining us to discuss some of all these things. And I'm not sure exactly what the response that I was expecting from the federal government, if they were going to be actually investigating properly, or looking out for who murdered Nigerians on the 20th of October 2020, and in the build-up also to the 20th of October, because the report says 96 bodies were. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's get you to speak on the NSAS report. It's made the headlines this morning on the Punch. It says federal government lists loopholes. UN and US and others demand sanctions. And of course, it says also there are inaccuracies in the report. We await white paper, says the federal government official. Let's have your thoughts on that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Now, the issue is that you can see that the federal government is not, Nigeria has not been lucky to have an empathetic leader since independence. No, we have not been able to get a leader that empathizes with the people. Look, other than empathize with the people, they are looking for loopholes, they are looking for errors, they are making excuses. I mean, human lives have been lost. I do know, I'm sure it's even more than the 12 that they are declaring. A lot of people have been injured. A lot of people, their lives have been destroyed by that incident. It has been proved, it has been established that soldiers and policemen went to Lekki to shoot at unarmed protesters and kill some of them, maim some of them. Some are even missing that they have not been able to trace. And now, what is our government saying? They are looking for loopholes. Because for ab initio, they began addressing issues from the premise of lies, of falsehood. They came out to say that, soldiers didn't go there. The Attorney General of the Federation came out to say that it was thugs, it was miscreants who put on army uniform to go to Lekki to go and kill people. The Information Minister, of course, that one is known for his inconsistencies and all sorts of things. So he came out to say that, in fact, nothing happened at Lekki. He even said that no policeman, no soldier went to Lekki at all. Now, a committee set up by the state government has established that soldiers actually went to Lekki to kill people. And the man, the lieutenant colonel who led the onslaught, his name and pictures are out there. It was established. So the federal government, rather than begin to find a way to assuage the heart of the people, the feelings of the people, is now coming out to even damage their feelings the more. And it is quite unfortunate, it is tragic that we don't have leaders who defend us. We only have leaders who defend themselves, who protect themselves, So a case has been established. What the federal government should do is to apologize to Nigerians and to ensure that all the soldiers and policemen that were involved in the killing, on the unprovoked killing of unarmed peaceful protesters, must be brought to book. Anything other than that, it is not acceptable.
Yeah, but Mr. Adebayo, looking at the current Nigerian government and their attitude, because you've clearly mentioned that they've, started the...
This is the worst one. If this government will protect anybody, will speak up for anybody, it will be that the federal government of Buhari's presidency will come up and speak for the killer others. We should take the full sentence of those who have committed murder. This is aggravated, unprovoked murder of Nigerians who the only weapon they had that day was the Nigerian flag. And they were sitting down. How do you shoot somebody who's sitting down? You see, in the kingdom of the animals, in the kingdom of against unarmed youths, peacefully protesting and shot them dead. And then somebody comes out to say it's a lie. CNN was lying. Nigerian media are liars. Transparency International is lying. The government comes out to lie and call other people liars. Why? They are the liars. This thing cannot be buried. It will be a collective failure on the civil society if we allow this report to be buried. Everybody, including the governor, who invited the military to go to Lekki, he came out to deny that the forces that are beyond their powers have gone to Lekki to create crisis. Then the soldiers came and said, no, the governor invited them. Everybody involved in the cumulative processes that led to the provoked murder of October 20 must be brought to justice. That is what can assuage the feelings of the families who have lost loved ones in this issue. Now, do you know there are people that are still missing, that they have not found their corpses, they have not found them, they don't know where they are? A lot of people, you saw. I watched the video. I went to the tribunal to go on a few occasions to go and see what is happening there. You saw people coming to the place with crutches and the government said, the soldiers said they sent people there with blank bullets. And under cross-examination, the general admitted that the soldiers, some were given blank bullets while some others were given live bullets. And they got there and were firing at people.
Okay.
I mean, it was unnecessary for soldiers and police to go to that place at all. It was unnecessary. It was totally unnecessary. After all, the guys were about to disperse. Began to call her liar, began to call her a terrorist, began to call her manner of names. And the lady, saying that this government is inhumane and could eliminate her, had to escape from Nigeria. Imagine.
The government should implement the report of this panel submitted. My question now is, do you think that the international community can enforce compliance, can force the hands of the Nigerian government? Because we can actually predict what will happen. I mean, what's on the street are already saying that, yes, as much as we commend the effort of the panel, to what extent, would it yield any results? That's also another one. So I'd like you to share your thoughts on that. I don't know if you have seen that report.
What they need to do for us now, the UN and the US, what they need to do for us and other international actors, what they can do for us now is to match word with action. It will work much. Like, for instance, why not anybody mentioned in that report ban them from coming to your country? Whatever they have your country in terms of money or property, let that be sanctioned on them. They should not have access to anything, any property they have outside this country and any account they have outside this country. Let apply individual sanctions against those people and apply sanctions against Nigerian police and the Nigerian military. So that would, and of course, any of our leaders, they should ban them from coming to their countries to come and seek medical care. That will hit them. That will make them do what is right. If you don't do that, they are not going to do what is right. Nobody, no leader, no president, no governor, no minister, no commissioner, no local government chairman, no councillor should leave Nigeria to go and seek medical help abroad until they fix this NSAS matter. And of course, they need to end the SARS. It has not ended. Nigerian police is still extremely oppressive, repressive, and unjust. They are still killing people. After the NSAS protest, minimum of about 100 Nigerians are falling victim of police brutality. In terms of fatalities, but in terms of illegal detention, extortions, they are in their millions. Every day, go to Nigerian roads, you see that one is a commonplace. They didn't learn anything.
All right, Mr.
They didn't learn
Adebayo.
anything from it.
Just as a point of correction, that statement was accredited to the Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Rabo.
The Chief of Defense Staff, what did you expect him to do? This is what they do. They defend their voice no matter atrocious atrocity that they must have committed. They will defend their voice. But you must remember that it's also a Nigeria and he has children. that they could fall victim of these things. The
Right.
police
Mr.
have killed
Adebayo.
in this country before. So what are we talking about?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
quickly, because of time, let's also jump into other stories this morning. On the Daily Independent, two, of course, stories on security. There it says, Buhari talks tough after bandits kill 15 people in Sokoto. It also says, headsmen lure butchers with cattle, kill 2 and kidnap 1 in Ondo.
Buhari talks tough. He has been talking tough. He has not been acting tough. So that one is not new. You know, every time you say, hey, when we come after you, we will destroy you. That's not I don't consider that, that's not a presidential attitude. A president will go after the killers and destroy them. Not that I will do this. He has said that a million times and nothing has happened. The thing is aggravating. They are killing them. So it's nothing. The terrorists are making jest of the president. You know, he can't do anything. He can only talk. He cannot act. They are not acting. They are not doing. I only act doing. What is the is most of the times is on the defensive instead of being on the offensive. You don't wait until ISWAP or Boko Haram strike before you begin to pursue them. Go and pursue them, eliminate them. The Nigerian military has the capacity, the professionalism to be able to handle Boko Haram. I bet you, if you leave the Nigerian military, within 1 month, Boko Haram will become history. If you remove politics, remove a business from this whole issue of terrorism, remove politics, remove business, remove corruption. The Nigerian army, these are our soldiers. I am proud of them. They will destroy Boko Haram and kill others and terrorists all over Nigeria within 1 month. Give them 1 month. With consensual, nobody should, especially if you are not traveling out of the country, nobody should force anybody to take a vaccine. I do not. It will be unconstitutional. It will be illegal. If you are not taking the jab, you can't do this. You deny you some privileges and the rest of that. But I do not believe if you are able to prove that we don't have COVID-19, then I don't think anybody should be forced to take the jab. If you are not traveling out of the country, I do not believe anybody should. We advise Nigerians to take the jab, but I do not believe the government should make it compulsory. You can't force people to take the jab. But it is beneficial, I believe, considering all the medical literature we have read. I believe it is necessary, not compulsory.
Well, we also need to improve on the number of vaccines we actually have available before you start forcing people to take them.
Especially, that is what is happening in Edo State. I don't know what is wrong with the governor. You know, you are making it compulsory. Why, whereas less than 2% of your people have been vaccinated, because that's what that is available for them. Why do you say you want to sack people? People cannot come to the offices. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's unreasonable.
All right, still on the Daily Independent. Let's go back talking Nigeria's challenges. It says there, Wike to IGP, tell Nigerians the motive behind invasion of Justice Odili's residence. Share your thoughts on that, Mark Adebayo.
Nigeria must get to the bottom of what happened to Justice Mary Odili on the 9th of Friday, 29 October 2021. We must get to the bottom. We must know who did what. All these deniers, and it's a season of deniers. I didn't know this person. We are not involved. Now, 14 suspects have been arrested. The 7 that are on the run, all of them are security agents, either from the military or from the immigration service or the police. How come it is only the civilians among the culprits that were apprehended? What happened to the soldiers? What happened to the policemen? What happened to the immigration officer? They must bring all the uniformed personnel that participated in that invasion. They must bring everybody back. Everybody must be brought back. They must be made to face the... And of course, you know...
I want you to, respond to some of the, the angles to it. The fact that, they're saying it's a fake policeman or they are fake staffs of, the security agencies and, they're... of course, the person who also said that he works for the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and some of all of that. Malami, of course, has denied and said he doesn't know that person, and some of all these little details here and there. Does that also show the level of inconsistency with the story? Does that also show that we may not be making any headway?
There are a lot of inconsistencies in the story. But the police admitted that the Lawrence Ajodu,
yes,
is a fake CSP. Yeah, agreed. But they also admitted that there were security agents, identifiable, authentic, bona fide security agents from the police, from the army and the immigration service. They admitted that those, but all those ones, the 7 of them, they said they escaped, that they are on the run. They could not, but the civilian, they were able to arrest the prayer warrior, the so-called Islamic prayer warrior. They are able to apprehend the fake journalist. They are able to apprehend the banker. They are able to apprehend the fake CSP. All of them are civilians. The ones that are not in custody, all of them are uniformed personnel of the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Immigration, and Nigeria Police. So you must know that Nigerians suspect there's an active attempt at cover-up. It have thrown this country into a terribly, cataclysmic crisis weapon without somebody approving it. Somebody, you must sign for it and take it. Who approved it? Who dispatched through the office of the Attorney General of the Federation? Of course, the AGF has denied him. He said he has never seen the man before. He has never met the man before. He has gone. He claimed that he has gone on several to tell us that. No, I think there's a desperate effort to cover up what really transpired, and I support Governor Wike for calling on the government to really tell Nigerians what really happened. And we should try not to allow this. We shouldn't turn Nigeria into a banana republic. We should not, because this is what this government is turning into. We should not allow that. You should know that the pedigree of this government does not exonerate it from this issue. When Buhari came into power, the first thing they did was to attack went on prosecution because they couldn't establish any case against them. This is a democracy. And I think the president must realize that he's no longer a soldier and that this is a democracy. He said, he promised us that he was a born-again Democrat. Now we see that he's not even a Democrat at all to talk of being born again.
All right.
Look at what he did in 1984 is what against Umar Diko is what he did against Nnamdi Kanu. So this thing keeps repeating itself. Illegal detentions and imprisonment of people, it is what is happening now. And then you are invading people's houses.
All right, Mr.
Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, we would, of course, we're out of time of the press, but thank you very much. I always enjoy speaking with you. Thank you for your time and for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you so much. PlusTvAfrica, you are #1 in terms of human and stories, and you are concerned about our plight in this country. I think you deserve a national award, even though you are young, but you have taken the crown. So kudos.
I completely agree. Thank you very much, Mr. Adebayo. All right, and that's for Off the Press. We'll, of course, we're moving straight to Today in History. Enjoy. Who's our first guest? We're now moving into our first major conversation for today, where of course, we're going to be speaking more extensively on the report that was put out by the have been, flying in different directions since the report was put out yesterday. But I want you, to start with, your thoughts, first of all, before we go into details. What are your thoughts? I'm sure.
However, the part that was shocking to me was the part that the chief pathologist of Lagos State actually said they recovered close to 100 dead bodies, all over Lagos State, from Yaba, Mushin, Alausa, and Ikeja and the like, during the protest. And this reiterated my point, because I was always at Alausa, Ikeja, and then police officers shot at protesters at Alausa, Ikeja also on the 20th of October 2020. It just seemed like that news was done. Terrorists. The youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow, but then you've killed us all off. How do you expect us to be leaders? With what has happened, it is important also that our media begins to ask the necessary question, that do we think our policymakers are actually focused on ending police brutality or focused on how to just shut down citizen voices? I mean, the voices of young Nigerians are being silenced in this country every day. I was one of my speaking engagements, and I said that the Nigerian state has no intentions of ending police brutality. It seemed like I was being partitioned because I'm an Hentas protester. But then I did not benefiting from my indignity. I did not benefiting from my oppression, from my humiliation. It's obvious that they're trying to protect their political interests. It's scary to think that Close to 100 people were killed just in Lagos. We're not even talking about the management of the LCC. Everybody was involved in an elaborate cover-up. We deserve some explanations, for crying out loud.
All right, so let's get to, it again. It's over a year, of course, and finally the report is here.
There is not the reports, the original report submitted at the to the Lagos State government. This was a leaked report. I guess, it's going to be a final edit or something. It is the report at the ground and made sure that the truth, came out. And in fact, I didn't expect even the panel to also put in it that the conduct of the Nigerian army was exacerbated by their refusal to allow ambulances to render medical assistance to injured protesters, which protesters need an apology. I mean, what happened at the Lekki toll gate was planned and premeditated. The same very government that sponsored the gaslighting and were persecuting the prosecutors. Somebody gave the order. We do not need an apology. We need justice. The people that have come together to commit these mass atrocities against young Nigerians have to be brought to book. And then people keep talking about the popular Oputapania and how the reports may be thrown under the table. I'd like to say that currently Nigerians are going to stand and demand, because these people are not ghosts. The people that have been mentioned in the reports are not ghosts. They're not fake characters. They should be prosecuted. People cannot lose their lives in vain. Yes, it is applaudable. And I think that there's actually hope for Nigeria.
All right, Renu, there's talk about a white paper, and of course the Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Rabo, and a few others from the government side have said that, there are inconsistencies with the report.
As well. And I'd like us to review the state actors and their enablers who joined hands in gaslighting us. Videos were photoshopped and cropped. The chief of staff at the time come out of the panel is inconsistent. It needs to wait for the white paper, as obviously there is a leaked report, and there was the final report that was submitted to the Lagos State panel. I mean, these people are state actors. What do you expect to say? They're going to definitely delve into nobody is telling anybody not to criticize or look at what the panel has put out. However, these very same people, have shown themselves consistent in denying what happened during the NSAS protest. So they're partisan, and that is clear. However, I agree with you that the public should wait for the white panel. I mean, we've seen the leaked report, and the leaked report has given us an adequate, view into what the final report is actually going to be like. So yes, I think that we should wait for the white paper. However, I'm also thinking, the state government was indicted in the panels, so it's a bit unclear what their white paper is actually going to look like.
Well,
however, it is important not to meditate, Please go on.
Aside those in government, what are your thoughts to those around us, those on social media who have now, are still looking for loopholes? Those who have said, the document wasn't signed, and still looking out for, different loopholes here and there. I'm sure on social media, you've seen some of all those comments.
The document wasn't signed. Yes, like I said, that was killings of their own fellow human beings. People were killed. Except we want to hide in bad faith or try to deceive ourselves. We all know what happened at Lekki toll gate. Myself, did I actually participate? People said one thing and it's not directly applicable.